The Indy ball world is going bananas this week. Everything from new teams to new owners and a draft to boot. We talk about that and much more on this week's episode of the Indy Ball Report podcast. All right, we are back. Episode number 348 of the Indy Ball Report podcast, a show that needs to get going. So I'm going to cut the crap and we're going to talk some ball.
Oh, yeah. Famously, episodes that start with, we're just going to get down to business. Always very focused, locked in, and attentive to the matters at hand. Good. I'm glad you started this way.
Absolutely. So we're actually going to try to stay on pace because there is a surprisingly large amount to talk about for the second week in November. And there's some deeper conversations that could be had at it. You know, an episode that isn't being recorded at 11:20 on a work night. So we're going to start in California, and then we're going to work our way around the map. And we're starting with Modesto, as they were formally announced into the Pioneer League this past week. Their team will be known as the Modesto Glow Riders, a name that's supposed to celebrate car culture and with I believe they called it an American graffiti type aesthetic. Team is going to be owned by Main Street Baseball, so a group that owns multiple teams, not really many indie ball teams. I believe actually Modesto will be their only indie ball team, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And they will continue to flesh out the California pod. And now we do know, I believe Long Beach was formally announced a while back now. If not, they're well established on the teamwork page.
They do own Billings, by the way.
Oh, they own Billings too.
Yeah.
Okay. So they add in two now Pioneer League teams. So there is that there. And now our California pod, as I was just saying, we have Yuba Sutter, we have Oakland, we have Modesto that are all relatively close together. And then Long Beach, which is way away from everything else and is, in a sense, almost the Cleburne of the Pioneer League.
Right. I think that's fair to say. A couple quick things of note would be it is funny, and I hate to immediately seem like I'm dunking on the Pioneer League, because there is a time for that, and I've done plenty of it in the past. But it is funny how when somebody all of a sudden owns a second, like, American Association team or Frontier League team, like these days, it's like, oh, like they're all right. They're like obviously pretty invested in this. You know, when someone owns a second Pioneer League team, like, oh, wow, the Pioneer League is really desperate. Like, they're just going back to the well, seeing who can bail them out. You know, which, look, that might not have been the case here. They might be very passionate about the Modesto market, but it is also, like, I don't know. It's an interesting thing to take on. And speaking as somebody who has worked for Main Street Baseball and has cashed checks from Main Street Baseball, it's a little surprising that they're continuing to go this way. And also say, in my experience, Dave Heller, bit of a dick. But he's an Alabama guy, so what are you going to do? Beyond that, it's just, I guess, a caution to anybody looking to work out Modesto. What are your thoughts on the whole thing? Brand, the move out there, the ownership?
Okay, working our way from macro to micro, overall move out there, I think it is the right decision. I think we're going to see a lot more on the Western expansion and Western push. We talked about that, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago, fairly recently, I know, so I won't rehash it too much here. That seems to be the direction they're going. That seems to be the future, and in all likelihood, probably not the worst idea. They need a way to replace two different teams. They found a way to replace two different teams. Mm-hmm. Financially speaking, going from Colorado to California feels like a net neutral. I guess you help out with the travel around the northern part of California, which is nice. And I would assume we're at least break even now for the travel, at least going from the two Colorado teams to two California teams. You aid the situation with Yuba and Oakland's travel by having Modesto there as a third option there, but you do add in some more expenses by having Long Beach there. But Colorado exactly was on the path to anything other than Ogden. So
Mm.
You know, that part is break even there. I think we could have done a better job at launching the team. I will say that.
That's been so weird from the Pioneer League. Not even from the team perspective, but from the Pioneer League perspective. It was very odd.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we obviously knew this was coming. It was one of the worst kept secrets in baseball that Modesto was going to get this team. So we knew that. And then you established the Twitter account a month ago, because the first tweet was a month ago. You don't really promote online or anywhere, at least not that I could find. And I would imagine I'm probably one of the few people that's actively searching for it. They named the team contest that supposedly had like 2,000 votes in it or something like that. And in addition to that, the Pioneer League doesn't tease anything. They don't try to drum up any sort of excitement for the announcement. And then we have, I think it was the Modesto B go, by the way, we have this new baseball team coming out. And then like a day and a half later, like, guess what? New team launching. Bam, here's the brand. And there was that like day in between the Modesto article and the formal launch where we had people online going, this can't be real because this looks like AI doing it. And I was like, no, this definitely looks like a minor league brand. Kind of looks like it took some inspiration from like the Somerset Patriots Copa Night logo for the Fox one. And we'll link the pictures of the logos there. We could try to describe it, but audio medium.
Have you been to the site?
Yeah, it doesn't work great.
JT Snow official?
I didn't know that. It didn't really load for me when I went to the Modesto site.
The link from the press release.
Okay. I will go back to that. But to finish my point before we get too far off topic, the brand itself looks more Southern California. Like, what's clearly supposed to be like a Latino skeleton man in what looks like a lowrider is not what I first think of when I think of Modesto. But then again, I don't really know what I think of when I think of Modesto either. So I guess if it works the local brand, because it does look cool. It just, I don't necessarily know how the brand attaches itself to the community. Yeah, I guess JT Snow is official.
Again, this rollout has been a disaster. Man.
Yeah. Wasn't he with Oakland for a minute?
For a minute, yeah.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, so
we'll see how that turns out.
Okay, at least he knows what the Pioneer League is like in Northern California, if we're going to try to make that positive.
Sure. I mean,
I guess we'll flip the script. What are your thoughts on all of this?
It's just such a mess. Like, what is it is an undertaking to roll out a team and a brand, both from a league perspective and a team perspective, right? So I understand that. I, for one, was heavily involved in the rollout of the Wild Health genomes. I understand being in charge of something that is going to get smacked in the local community. Like, I get it. Dude, going to the people of Lexington, Kentucky and saying, here's a team. They're named the Wild Health Genomes. Also, the company is mostly known for giving COVID shots. Hope you guys don't have an issue with any of this. Buddy, I was ready to be hung in the street. I understand. There's lining up when the league needs to and wants to roll it out and will be ready to. It's when the club needs to roll out because they need to sell tickets and get everybody ready and the brand and all that. And timing it out and the strategy you want to go with. Do you want to slow roll it, fast roll it? Do you want to do the Chuck Domino special of a mid-season full brand and just be like Modesto baseball for the first half of the season? A lot to think about, lots of time out and workout, and you're hiring. You're building a whole roster. It's a lot. I understand, but they're for everything right now. For everything. They're getting beat to the punch by months, by us, who are basically two East Coast guys with thumbs in our butts. And we think they're our thumbs, but we aren't entirely sure. Can't quite see back there. But even though we can't see back there, we can see to the West Coast and go, okay, Pioneer League going to Modesto, understood. They won't confirm anything. There's a complete mess when it comes to that. And then all of a sudden, oh, they did it. Meanwhile, the Long Beach expansion we only know about because Long Beach press has talked about it. But back in Modesto, they finally acknowledge it after they've had, locally, they've had the fan vote and all this stuff. Like local papers, I think, referred to the Pioneer League, but the Pioneer League didn't make an official announcement about Modesto for like ever. Finally do. And then all of a sudden now they're like, oh, there's a team here. Here's the voting thing going on. Oh, it's happening. Here's the brand. And like their website, by the way, is like not complete. Like it is.
Oh, it's a very much underdeveloped website.
It's crazy. Like this isn't me being like, your website's not done. Their website is, we went over step by step the website of Lancaster's ownership group. It is half of that. It is nothing other than it is a
quick blurb on JT Snow, a reserve your season ticket with what appears to be a seat map of the stadium and our proud partners. Yeah.
Yeah. And the one doesn't have a working image link. And at the bottom, there's literally a broken link on the powered by callpenguin.com, which is one of their partners. So
the season ticket one just.
Can I say something? The weirdest thing, and this is going to be a bigger point, and I will bring it back and I want to kick it back to you, but I just want to land my plane here because it's just complaining if I don't.
Put it on the Hudson.
I have worked for Main Street Baseball. I've expressed my feelings on the matter. Main Street Baseball is capable. Main Street Baseball, the Wilmington Blue Rocks are a good organization. They have managed to run an almost successful ship in Billings at times. Quad Cities is known as being pretty successful. They, regardless of how you feel about little things, they know how to run a club. To have this rollout and this disorganization makes me say, okay, you haven't done anything this sloppy before. But the Pioneer League has had the messy rollout of Oakland, the messy rollout of YOLO, which became the messy rollout of Yuba. They have the mess that happened in Grand Junction. Oh, they're moving to Rocky Mountain. We're breaking the news far before they are on what their own team is doing. All of this, it feels like it is easy to look at the Modesto organization and say, oh, this is screwed. They're a mess. But I think we do need to step back and look at the mess happening in Long Beach and going, maybe it's the league. Maybe let's look at the common denominator. And that's a bigger point too. This is a league that I've been told is running a skeleton crew front office. They no longer have their, what was he, president? Because I'll put that on the pod. He's president of the league, Henry Hunter. He's no longer there, according to sources over the past month. No, nothing has been announced. Shapiro's kid, the league president Shapiro. So was he the executive VP, I think, something like that? The league president is Mike Shapiro. Mike Shapiro's kid, who did a bang-up job enough in Grand Junction that team no longer exists, is apparently running one of the teams in California. I don't remember which one. I was told. I already forget. Didn't write it down because, frankly,
definitely in Oakland. So process of elimination brings us down to 3 teams.
Yeah, one of them. And yeah, man, I just think the Pioneer League, I don't know what to do. And to the point of, and I'm so sorry, this is becoming a minor rant. If I'm a successful organization who can make some money in the Pioneer League, and I'm out in like Montana looking at Glacier with a new ballpark, looking at Missoula with at least a track record of success and fan support, bro, dude, like I'm looking at this like every time there's a California team, it becomes more of an expense. And it's made the players more expensive. There's travel, which I don't know how much longer the California teams are footing the bill for travel, different thing. Dude, how do you not start being like, okay, how much longer am I here? Like, how much longer am I a Pioneer League team versus a college, summer team, or looking at the American or the Frontier or whatever, whoever's moving out this way.
Or just your own league that you start.
There's that. So that's it. Sorry. There's so much. And my problem is I can't mention Modesto being disorganized and messy without mentioning the other things, which makes this irrelevant to the whole Pioneer League thing and the lack of vision right now. Henry Hunter, come on the podcast.
That would be fun. That'd be a really fun conversation to have.
Good. I'd be down. Yeah. I think it would go well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It'd be fun. But yeah, it is a bit of a failed household and a failed state. So who's the bigger failure here? Obviously, still very early on. Don't want to cast shadows on Modesto. Yeah, I mean, Oakland had a rough rollout, and they're doing very well. So now, different situations, different setups, obviously. But, you know, it is just an example of it can turn itself around quickly. So, yeah, it's a tough scene with Modesto so far. I'm curious to see how it works itself out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really. I want it to go well for multiple reasons. I want good things for Modesto. Modesto has historically had a team. Modesto was screwed in the Diamond Baseball Holdings fallout. I think there is a real. I'm suspicious of everything going on out there, mainly because I could also see a world where Diamond Baseball Holdings, the former owner of Modesto, who did take a little bit of heat, by the way, on the Modesto move. Like they tend to be able to move pretty quietly. They did take a bit of heat. I wonder at all if they're friendly with Main Street Baseball. I don't see a world where they're not. They both own minor league teams. I wonder if there could potentially be some sort of, handoff there. Like, I don't know. What I'm saying is this whole arrangement, I could see if the Pioneer League is just sort of frantically trying to make it happen, find an owner, do the thing they did with Yuba, where they found an owner in Oakland who would run it for a year until they found a long-term owner. That could be a thing. But I'm also like, there could be a thing where maybe Diamond Baseball Holdings wants to make sure there's some sort of pro baseball going, and they're using their own connections to try to put somebody in there, at least for the time being, so they don't look like the worst guys. As I say it, I feel less convicted of that, but I don't know. Something is just so much of this is weird. And while I do understand the inclination to be like, I think moving to California is the right move, we'll see. Because right now they've been in 3 locations out there and one of them has been successful. So it depends. Like, if these aren't viable, then it's not a good move. And now what are we? The Pecos League with extra steps.
You're not wrong. I was just having a conversation with someone earlier today going, the Pioneer League's dysfunction is a major problem because we all know the role they serve in this whole ecosystem is extremely important because there's a lot of guys that get done playing college ball that aren't quite at the level of the Frontier or anything else, but are still good ball players. They aren't used to playing against professionals yet, and they haven't developed their game enough yet. And if they just play like a year and a half in the Pioneer League to get used to that, to go, oh, yeah, this is my job now. This is how I have to play. And, get used to going from playing with a metal bat to a wood bat. And like, this is just the difference in talent and experience level. That they then turn into a really productive ball player at like 23, 24 and have a very viable shot at continuing their career at an affiliated level, if not higher. So to see this kind of a thing is very alarming, and it does make you question some things. And I hate that most Pioneer League conversations now seem to eventually bleed this way. But yeah.
It's so important for the indie ball ecosystem right now. And this is going to be a conversation we're going to have later in this podcast too. But I'll sort of prime it now, because where baseball is going is, and I'm sorry if this is news to you, but they're going to cut more minor league teams. They've said it openly. They have publicly copped to, Major League Minor League Baseball has publicly copped to wanting to cut 30 more teams, probably looking at in the next CBA stretch. Now there's like, oh, there's the contracts for the next 10 years. But like, bro, if they want to get out of it, they'll get out of it. If they want to run out these last 10 years and say goodbye, it's been a good run, they'll do it. The next chapter of this, and also privately, emails have been leaked that say they want to cut 60 teams. So keep it in mind. So that's going to eliminate, think of it, rungs on the ladder up to Major League Baseball, right? So now you have AAA, you have AA. Now you're going to start getting rid of at least one of those rungs below it, maybe two. There's an opportunity here. But if you're a college guy coming out, because Major League Baseball is really leaning into college baseball, trying to make that their development lab without having to spend their own money on it. And now, if you don't get picked up for the limited number of spots that are now available in affiliated ball in that era, if you don't get picked up out of college, where do you go? Without the Pioneer League as like a really vital little hyper-focused league on these young guys straight out of college, first professional experience type things. Yeah, you can hop in the Frontier League, but in what role, what kind of playing time? It's not as attractive, certainly. If your option is, hey, like you're right out of college, come out here, play 60 games for, up in Kalispell and it's gorgeous, come out Oakland, whatever. But if they're, if the next option is ride the bench in Joliet for a while and not make much because they're getting paid less than the Pioneer League, or, have hit $1.80 in the American or cough up a 6 ERA as the last bullpen option somewhere, like a lot of guys are just going to say, I'm good. Like I'll move on, especially because most of the guys will have a college degree too. So without the Pioneer League, all of indie ball is really losing a development path that's going to be very necessary to survive in this new ecosystem that's being built. Because there's a lot of people who are saying, minor league getting cut is going to benefit indie ball. Brother, I don't know. Because
it only benefits if the leagues did their homework to be ready to take advantage of it.
And they're too busy competing with each other. And that's why for years we've been saying rising tides should be raising all boats. Instead, we're playing dumb games with the American and the Atlantic League, not playing each other in some sort of like combined thing because, there's egos involved in logistics and yada, yada, when you could be making this a damn cool thing that people are already aware of instead of having to introduce the concept to them for the 10th time. It's just, they're going to get caught with their pants down, and you can see it. You can see it's going to happen.
I don't even need them working together enough to be playing each other. I just need them to not actively be harming each other.
Yeah. And again, to say that no minor league baseball or not no minor league baseball, but cutting minor league teams is going to open up opportunities for indie ball teams. Yeah, well, there might be more indie ball teams now with minor league teams moving over, but consider how well expansion has gone at times and how well some of these affiliate teams have done coming over. Consider the fact too that a lot of these guys that come into indie ball are affiliate ball rejects, and without the affiliate ball experience, that jump to indie ball is actually quite large. So are they going to be there? Are they going to be available to come through? Is it going to raise the quality of play if they are coming in? There's a lot that is very concerning, and the writing on the wall is really bad right now. And I hate to be, Mr. doom and gloom, but we're going to talk about it soon, and we'll get to it for sure. But in case you haven't noticed, indie ball's getting smoked by banana ball. And I'll say the thing I said to you pre-show, which is for years we have known two things about what is going on in Major League and minor league baseball. One is minor league baseball is getting more homogenous, it's getting more corporate, but it's putting a funny little fancy name on things, so it seems fun and laid back, but it's all the same crap. And they're just seeing its development, and that's it. And they're losing their connections to towns, and they're leaving, they're leaving towns. And there's an opportunity for indie ball to really figure out what their unique offering is, to embrace the market they're in, and to be the fun style of indie ball and the fun style of baseball. And instead, oops, the Savannah Bananas are here, and they're dunking all over you and taking 24 of your guys. So good luck. And then on the other side, we know that minor league baseball is going to have teams getting cut again. We saw it happen once, so they're going to do it more. They've had years to prepare so that the natural thing that indie ball becomes the place where you prove yourself, you develop yourself. You don't just showcase yourself to get signed, you develop to get signed. And we got good, and we get Edgertronic cameras in, we get Rapsodo trained people, we have player development and baseball operations focused in on every side of things in every organization so that they can really be you gotta be an indie ball organization. You gotta play there if you want to be legit. And if you're not one of the top guys off the bat getting drafted. And instead, we've gotten cheap. We've had no vision. We've competed with each other over nothing, fighting for scraps, trying to expand into dumb places because owners want the quick hit of revenue that comes with a new organization buying in. And look, we're caught with our pants down. And now college baseball is going to get the drop on us. And college baseball is like the redhead stepchild for decades. It's just full of guys who couldn't get drafted out of high school for years. And now all of a sudden it's the place to be. It's embarrassing. It is the most frustrating thing. And there's nothing we can do about it now. I mean, really, it's over. College ball's way out there. They're moving. So now indie ball has to figure out where do we fit and work on carving out a spot, or else we're just going to get left behind fully again. And I'm sorry for the doom and gloom, but it's like all I've been thinking about for days since I've started seeing really the banana ball thing kick up. Okay. Sorry. I'm just frustrated.
At first I was going to go to New Jersey next, but I kind of want to just go right in the banana ball because that feels like a more natural fit.
And Jersey's old news.
I mean, yeah, it's just now we formally have everything sorted out.
Talk about bad rollouts.
Really. This week really was just like cementing things that we already knew. But we'll go to banana ball first, and then we'll go to Jersey because that's pretty much Frontier League straight out. To your point about doom and gloom from banana ball, I kind of had the same feeling. And I will get back onto the rant you just had, which will make a lot of people happy hearing a Ryan rant. That's apparently a big seller.
That's funny. I'm more concerned about that than anything, but I appreciate it.
To the point here, I had kind of the same doom and gloom feeling watching the draft earlier tonight, on Thursday. This is because we got about to the first two rounds and there was about 8 guys taken. And I'm digging through the list of guys they put out that were eligible and whatnot. And I'm listening to some of the names get called. And in my stomach, I just got this sinking feeling. And then I almost want my eyes to well up a little bit because I'm like, God, we're losing so many talented players to this. Like a guy like Austin Drury should still be around, if not signed by like an MLB org. A guy like Josh B. Sinet, a guy like Kyle Martin, who's been here for forever. He was running down the American Association home run record.
Mm-hmm.
He was certainly close if he didn't already have it. I know he has a pair of 31 home run seasons and a bunch of like mid to upper 20 seasons. I think like 3 or 4 of those too. So he had to close if it wasn't there. Oh no, Jabari has it, but Kyle can't be far behind him. Lamar Sparks, a younger guy that's really interesting. Max Young Goldberg, another guy, really interesting there. TJ Reeves is a dude that I think was either last year before. We were like, if Florence wants to move him, they could probably get some good future considerations, some other dudes on top of that for this dude. He's a good hitter. Reese Miller, a dude that looked lights out in a league where pitchers normally do not succeed in, especially in the Colorado teams, especially in an org that clearly was financially insolvent. Brett Sanchez, another dude.
Barth, dude. Yeah. Jordan Barth, a 27-year-old who just had his best season in the American Association. Like he has been openly developing. Dude. And there's a lot to this. I don't know. I'll let you keep going through some of the guys and we'll talk about it. Yeah,
Eric Osberg, a dude that looked really good in Milwaukee, didn't really work out great in Fargo, but whatever there. Still a great 70-game stretch. You're hitting 300 as a catcher with power. Like, hell yeah, sign me up for that. David Griffin, a dude that's been around for forever in indie ball, I think since 21, if I'm not mistaken, 23. I know wound up getting to the Mets or got some time in AAA, if I'm not mistaken, too there. So a great player there. Latta too. Another dude Lede
Yeah.
rather. He's another dude that looked really solid. Had great production with Billy in YOLO / Yuba.
YOLO. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's that. There's a ton of other guys here, too. I could keep going through the names here, but you guys get the point here. There's a lot of really good players and a lot of really promising players here. And I just keep seeing them go off the board one after another, after another, after another. And I mean, I'm sure you'll mention some of the stuff that we've been hearing behind the scenes for how much some of these guys are getting paid. The fact there's benefit packages and other things, too, attached with some of these guys, reportedly. Like, that's a really tough sell to tell a guy, yeah, go ride a bus for $1,500 a month versus putting aside a living wage plus benefits like it's, an actual full-time job. Like, that's a really tough sell. And I'm just left thinking, and what really kind of struck me on it, and then I'll hand it back over to you, watching the live stream, I was thinking, oh, there's no reason the Indy ball team couldn't do this. And then, like, having them go through projections and statistics and whatnot for banana ball, I was like, shit, this is like a real league. And then I was like, wow, the answer just hit me in the face. It is a league. Yep. And if it's a league that already is on ESPN because it's different and it's filling out not just major league ballparks, but football stadiums, where does that leave us? Which connects us back to your rant, which is right now, you look at the amount of guys having their contracts purchased, and we had a decent amount this past year. I believe we were around anywhere between 55 and 70, which is not a bad number to be at. It's been higher in the past, but this is still not a bad number. And then when you start adding in foreign signings too, like the Mexico and Korea and Taiwan and all that, then the number gets a lot better. And you're like, okay, these guys are making real money now. So the system works. The only way indie ball works is that you either A, provide a living wage, which is just not a financial reality. Never has been, never will be. It's just not a viable option, realistically.
Oh, okay.
Let's be real. It's going to be minor league baseball.
I think now it's probably cooked, but yeah.
But that's just the reality of that. Or your other option is you're providing career advancement, which is what it's traditionally always been. And so, if you're not moving guys on quickly with pace, then you're more or less saying you're here to play for the love of the game and push off the real world for a little while. And so if that's what you're doing, then why not just go do the banana ball, which, it's banana ball, not baseball. It's a type of baseball, but it's not, straight up traditional baseball. Which is fine. It could be its own thing, be different, and still be a good thing. But why not go do banana ball where you're playing in front of a packed stadium every night? You're treated like a major league ball player, walking through the crowds and everything. And you are getting paid a living wage.
More than that, man.
Why would you not do that?
And when you look at it, there's so much of it that frustrates me, and my anger, I want to be clear, is not at banana ball. From what we're seeing is most guys are going to make 60 to 70 grand there. Top draft picks are rumored to be making, and now I've gotten this from a few people, and a light confirmation from somebody on the banana side. They'll be making six figures plus benefits plus 401k. So we've got guys leaving indie ball to make 60 plus K up to six figures with benefits with 401k. Newsflash, their contracts apparently seem to have buyouts, just like indie ball contracts do, for if an affiliate team decides they want you, or an MLB team. However, 4 different players apparently, and I'm still going to confirm that number, but at least I can confirm multiple players have chosen banana ball over affiliated contract offers. And while I'm sorry, and this is weird to say, while all these indie leagues have been focused on fighting and competing with each other, the top indie league right now is banana ball. And if you're listening to this and you're going, well, that's not really baseball. Okay. Then how do you let it happen? Then how do you let it happen?
I would fight the point though on that. They're serving two completely different subcultures here. If you want to say they're both, sport entertainment, I would give you that. If you want to say they're both in the baseball subgenre, I would give you that. But like, they're playing a totally different role set with a totally different objective than what the other teams are. Unless you want to say the objective is just to entertain people.
If they can walk up to your top player and make them an offer and he leaves, they're the top league.
I mean, that's like saying if you can go and pay an actor better to be a singer and then they leave, then they're both in the acting business. It's not true. You're both in the entertainment business and you made an entertainer a better offer. You went up, you're both in the baseball business.
Both these teams are in both these leagues are in the entertainment business.
No one's arguing that point. I'm just saying they're doing two different things inside that business.
But it's frustrating as somebody who's been saying you need to be doing it already. And I'm sorry that I get that. And this is the second time in like 3 weeks I've been harping on I'm mad about the thing you should have done. And I'm sorry that I'm struggling to get over it. You should have already been doing the things Banana Ball was doing. And I'm not saying dancing on the field. I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. I'm not saying you should be dancing on the field in the kilt. I'm saying the way that fans are treated, the way that's marketed, the way it's branded, would regular baseball with the same pomp and circumstance of Banana Ball still be popular? I don't know, man. 50 million people were watching the World Series the other day. Feels like baseball's still pretty damn popular to me. It's just like, that's what bothers me. I'm going to try to be less mad about it, but I'm still pretty mad about it. As somebody who has been saying for a long time, like, no, Banana Ball's not replacing baseball, but they will replace you, Indy Ball, if you're not paying attention. And here we are.
I do wonder the economic reality of being able to do it, though.
Of running Banana Ball, or what do you mean competing with Banana Ball?
I'm meaning on the competing side. Like, we say a lot, like, do a lot of the same things. And like some of it that make it more fan oriented. Yeah, you can do it no matter what your budget is. To the degree, sure. But like, you can do at least some of it no matter what here. But it's a little bit different when you're able to run a traveling show. You're not paying for the stadium upkeep outside the one.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's what I'm saying is the ship has sailed now.
Well, I'm just saying though, like we say, like be more like them, but at the same point in time, they're dealing with two different economic realities.
You can do Banana Ball in your own stadium. It doesn't need to be Banana Ball. It can be baseball, but like you should be learning from, okay, why this, you sit at a Banana Ball game. If you watched a Banana Ball game and you removed the fan interact, all the stuff, if you cut Banana Ball at the lines, essentially at the warning tracks, you would sit there and go, this is stupid. This is dumb. You might think it's only as dumb as baseball, but I think for the most part, you'd sit there and go, this is dumber than baseball for sure. Baseball has succeeded for 150 plus years. Like there's a reason. So whatever is happening there isn't the Banana Ball. It helps a little bit that the game is super quick. All the things they've added, the funny thing, the no bunting, whatever, the walks, whatever, the fans catching foul balls. But if you ask somebody who doesn't regularly go to baseball games, oh, is it because of the bunting? Is it because of the walks? Is it because of the fans not being able to catch balls and make an out for themselves? No, they're not saying that. It's because why they might like Banana Ball is because of the fan experience. And the fan experience is entirely within the control of the organization. And while we can say the economic realities of doing what Banana Ball is now, I'm saying go back to that crappy Grayson Stadium in Savannah. And they were doing this then. That's what made this. The things they did correctly then are what has created the monster we have now. And it's not too late to start applying these lessons, but unfortunately, I do think it's too late to compete. And I'm not saying to compete like, it's us versus them. I don't think it is anymore. They're their own thing. I don't know that it ever was. But it's frustrating because we're always looking at first. okay, from my perspective, as somebody who said, hey, there's a lot of things that we should be copying from what Banana Ball is, not as a game, but as a entertainment venture. And because if you take that level of entertainment and put it around the great caliber of baseball and indie ball, you should have something. As evidenced by the fact that Banana Ball is big. And what's the first thing to start investing in? Good players. So like there is something to the level of talent. It's frustrating that for years, we, maybe, I don't know what your early opinions were, but have been saying we all need to be learning from Banana Ball. And the response we got was Banana Ball's dumb. It's amateur. It's small scale stupidity, not real ball, whatever. Okay. And we said that. And now we're here and they stole your players. You're doing world tours. They have a league. And now I'm being told from people across indie ball, well, we can't really compete with that because it's too big. Okay. So when do we stand up? When do we throw a punch? When do we take what they do and say we can do that, but better because we're a real damn baseball team? And this is somebody who loves Banana Ball. I'm fascinated by them. I think, I'm not out here watching every game, but I do think it's extremely interesting and I root for the guys doing it. And I root for a success story. And I think it's drawing people toward baseball. But if the time wasn't then and the time isn't now, then what are we doing? Because what we're doing is falling behind. And it feels like what we're always doing. I have not known an indie ball that wasn't falling behind. And maybe it's frustrating and maybe that's what's always been. But it's like, I'm tired of coming on here and the sky is falling. But essentially, since I've gotten on this pod and since I started doing mine, the sky's been falling. And meanwhile, fake baseball is killing. And real baseball and MLB is succeeding. So I don't want to hear that it's because it's fake baseball, because real baseball is also killing it. So you can't, if real baseball is succeeding and fake baseball is succeeding and you're failing, it's a you problem. It's not the market. It's not the people. It's a you problem. And without a game plan to draw players, to get players successful, to get players signed, to draw fans, to get them having a great time and telling people to come back, then lay down in traffic, bud. Because you're just waiting out the time until life support's pulled.
I would say two things on that kind of came in my mind throughout that.
Sorry.
One, I think the critical thing here is not even so much the fan engagement, but the vibe and the aura around the ballpark. Because that was really the thing that got me when we went out to the game out in Lehigh, which I think was Tailgate or Party, I don't know if I remember right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I really wasn't even able to follow what the hell was going on the field.
No, we really was the ninth inning.
Yeah, I was like, oh, wow, shit, this moves quickly. And it's like, oh, all right, what's the deal here? And like, honestly, it moving that quick, I almost chalk up to be a negative as a baseball fan because I like to be able to kind of like get up, walk around the ballpark and love to come back to my seat and be like, okay, it's only like the seventh inning. I was gone for like the bottom half, the fifth and the sixth, but now we're still good. I got time to get up.
Noteworthy, you're also there for the experience, but continue.
Yes, I know. I'm getting to my point. Settle.
Okay.
If I was judging based off of what was happening on the field, I would just said it's kind of a mess. It's hard to follow. And frankly, some of the routines with the dancing and the flipping shit, I was like, okay, we get it. Let's get back to baseball kind of a thing. Now, again, I'm also the kind of guy that's like, if you give me a 2-1 ball game where there's 5 hits in total, I'm probably enthralled the whole damn time because I love pitcher's duel. I think that's the most exciting thing is a pitcher's duel, seeing who's going to blink first. So I'm probably not inherently the target audience. But I still had a great time at that game, though, because just the aura and the vibe in the building was so high from the time you park your car to the time you get back to your car that at no point was I like, this is a bad thing. I'm not enjoying this. I was like, this is great the whole time because there was a certain atmosphere in there where it felt like collectively we were all experiencing a thing. And it kind of gets back to my point here where yeah, the fan experience itself matters, but I feel like the mindset of a lot of people walking into a ballpark for a banana ball game isn't, I'm going to this baseball game. It's more like on the wavelength of, I'm going to like a concert or a play or something like that, where it's very clearly a one-off thing, one night only, then we're leaving town, see it before it's gone kind of a thing. It's a traveling show as opposed to an ongoing sporting event, which is something inherently as a minor league team, affiliated, unaffiliated, does not matter. You are going to have working against you when you play 45 plus games at the same ballpark every single year for 4 months a year. Mm-hmm. It's just a reality that you have to build in. There's less of a scarcity there. And yeah, you can still make it be like, oh, cool, we're going to the ballpark. Oh, cool, we're going to have a great time here. But it's really hard to capture that kind of like, this is an event, this is special type of thing here. Because even the process in getting the tickets, it's a bit of an ordeal to get them because there's such a high demand. You have to put them for a lottery. So when you win a lottery, you're like, oh,
it's
wow.
It's a barrier for entry, though, yeah.
Yeah.
But continue.
It creates that scarcity. It creates like that, I won the opportunity to give you money. It makes you feel special that you get to give them something, right? And then you get there, you're like, oh, it's $35 a piece. Yeah, this is like nothing. You could buy the maximum amount of tickets and still feel good about it. So it's not even really like a price thing, though. It's just a matter of every step about it makes you feel like you are part of a unique club. And it's almost the opposite of how a team that's rooted in one place has to be, where you have to make it feel like everybody's part of this versus you are part of us type of a thing. So that's the first part there.
I understand there's resistance to the bananas. So I'll say first on again, I think there's a firm two sides to things, which is on field and off field. But there is a point where they meet. So let's just say on field, big picture, there is concern here because it's going to be a lot harder to bring guys in and keep guys in. But not only, I mean, hell, I was in Lexington, I was waiting on guys to sign contracts, but they were waiting to see if they got the call to show up to spring training. Now you also got to wait to see if they get a call from Savannah. Like there's that. There's all that comes with that. And the concern moving forward that this is just another threat to Indy ball from as an option. And the added concern that comes with MILB cuts and all that. Leaving that for now. Let's remove banana ball. Have you been following what's going on with the Coastal Carolina football team?
I have not, no.
Okay. Coastal Carolina football team made the crazy announcement that starting this season.
Is this the concession thing?
Free concessions.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
free concessions makes 0 cents from a financial perspective until you realize you're removing a barrier to people showing up and you're saying, we want you watching this game. We value you and we value that you care about our team. So we want you in here. We want you here and we want you to be able to get your food, have it affordable and go watch this game and support the team. Okay. But they haven't just done that. Somebody did a really good breakdown of it. They played the night before Halloween, and on the same night that again they had free food and drinks for every fan, they wore glow in the dark uniforms because it was like a Halloween theme. Their halftime show was medieval times. Like the restaurant you go to and they act out sword fighting and like some crazy like medieval night style drama plays out and there's a winner and a loser and the crowd goes wild. They did that as the halftime show and the crowd went nuts for it. The energy has been really good in the crowd. Their entrances are like getting like played up as really cool. And like it's a very engaged audience. They're making everything a big deal. They're playing it up like you would the entrance for Banana Ball, for example. And their attendance last year sat at 16,000 on average. Their attendance this year has been over 20,000. I think there was a low game in there, like a weird game where they played a bad opponent and like it was like a weird time. So when it comes down to it, they're at 110%. So a 10% attendance jump from last year. But dude, a 10% attendance jump just from giving away food and, leaning in and having some fun. And now they're a destination for players too, because you want to play in a fun atmosphere. You want to play a place that's engaged, that does cool things, that gets views and eyes, because more eyes on the team and the school or more eyes on you. It is common sense in that perspective. It's very much the school of thought that the bananas have. And I think it is a clear model for the potential opportunity for growth for indie ball. But the more people see it, it's already losing opportunity here. The opportunity would have been to do it immediately and basically kill banana ball in the cradle and say, we're going to do all the things you do, but with real baseball and real talent, and we're going to bury you off the bat and try to go that route with it. Instead, we're here. And I mean, there's glow in the dark baseball making their rounds. I don't really know. I'm not as invested in that. It seems like less of an exciting thing, but sure. They seem to miss the finer points of the real talent and skill set that the Savannah Bananas have on and off the field, but sure, it's an event. But the market's getting a little saturated already with heavily entertainment focused baseball product. So if you, like, are you going to do this, or are we just going to kind of go about it? And unfortunately, like, I'm afraid indie ball is going to be really just seen as like behind. I mean, I go to things all the time, like indie ball games all the time, and I think, why are we doing this? Like, why is this what we're doing? We're still doing the same, tired promos, and nobody's engaged or excited with this. Like, what, or we're just going through the motions here because the sponsor said they'll pay for it, type of thing. Like, there are models. If you don't want to follow banana ball, there are models everywhere. There's art everywhere for those with eyes to see it. Like, but I just encourage teams to realize that, there's opportunity here, but there's also threat here. And maybe let's learn and understand, you're not going to be able to just pay your way out of it now. Banana ball is long gone. You're not going to be able to just talent your way out of it, because banana ball is buying empty talent. So you got to figure out something.
I do wonder, what is the sustainability of banana ball long term? Like, are we ever going to reach a point where we're all just kind of like, yeah, that's cool, I guess?
I think yes and no, which sounds like a cop out, but I'll explain. This isn't going to infinitely grow. I think there's a limited number of teams. I think they know that. I think they're open, from my understanding from now. I was shooting some text this morning to somebody who's over there. This is a trial there for them. This is a test run. If they don't like how this went, if they feel like they can't deliver the product they want, even if they're selling tickets, they said they're going to cut back. They said they learned a lot last year. They weren't really happy with the product in some instances with games where the bananas weren't involved. So like party animals versus tailgaters or whatever. But they said that they still have learned a lot, and I think they can at least deliver for this, 16 league they got cooking right now. But 8 seems to be the goal, but then they're going to feel it out. They said if 6 is a disaster, they're going to run it back at 6 probably, and maybe cut it back again, or they'll expand depending on how it goes. So they are already aware that this is they're in uncharted territory, which credit to them to understand that. I think their model will continue to work. Realistically, think about how many games they have next year, how many ballparks they have things at, but they're really only coming to each city once. And if I've learned nothing else from years of the late great Jimmy Buffett, it's that it doesn't matter how many times you've seen the show. If you like the show, you're still showing up when it rolls in the town. And if you're smart about what, venue you go to, like just like any touring act, I think it will continue to succeed. And they're very much cutting edge innovation on entertainment and what's popular and trendy. They seem to understand that. And I think they'll probably be fine and weirdly recession proof because the tickets are fairly affordable. I think they're kind of set to at least roll this pretty well. I think their only point would be if they feel like they can't continue to replicate the same thing. You got your main yellow tux Jesse at the banana games, but you're relying on essentially Jesse proxies at these other things and to set the vibe and keep things running the way they want it and as successful. And that's one where I think there's a little bit of variance that they have to figure out. But that's about it. I think it is something that can keep going.
I just say that because I almost want to call it the lazy comp, of course, is the Globetrotters, right? And they're not this infinitely impossible.
I hate comparison, yeah. And it's not to you, but just in general.
It's just knowing that is the comp that kind of exists for better or worse. You know, they're not killing it themselves in that realm. So I just do wonder if eventually people get tired of seeing it, right? And if that's the case, then obviously it dies down a bit. You never reach the same highs, and that's that. Yeah, that's really more or less where I was going, because I've definitely talked to some people behind the scenes, and they're not pro banana. I will openly say that. And they're like, yeah, once the novelty wears off, then it'll be over and it'll go back to the way it was, which I don't necessarily believe. I don't think that's going to happen. Right?
It's been going for 5 years already.
Exactly. Like, I don't inherently think like this is it, they're done, whatever. I don't think they're going to be able to maintain the same high they've been on. I don't think we're ever going back to the way it was. I do think that eventually, probably if I had to guess, within the next 10 years, this is going to die back down and people are going to be like, oh yeah, that was fun for a minute. I have a hard time viewing them as, you know, keeping this alive and going.
I agree. I think within a decade, it'll probably be back to the party animals and bananas, probably touring individually and maybe just hitting major parks. But you know, right now they know that they're hot and they're a hot ticket and they're making the most of it. And I do think part of it is they know they're on a limited time frame. So they're maximizing the number of games. The interesting will be here, right? There are multiple guys, and all love to the guys getting paid and doing this thing, right?
Yeah.
There are multiple guys signed here where I'm unaware of them having special talent other than baseball. So where I am a little interested, and they'll give you a little bit of in the weeds. This is talking ball, by the way. This is actual on-field ball talk into banana ball. Sorry, bait and switch. The interesting one that I'm curious about is, okay, so some of these guys are certainly going to be showing up with other talents, right? Or bits or personality. Okay. There are some guys who are just going to be good ball players, and they might be, you know, bigger personalities, good ball players, but you know, for the most part, the immense amount of talent on the Savannah Bananas is not replicable on all these other teams. I've seen 4 of the teams now, 3 of the teams. And I would say the party animals are very close on the entertainment talent is what I mean. Like the backflip, those skills. And the other teams are a little bit, and the tailgaters are the least when it comes to that. Now, I also think that's why they just did that draft thing, because they realize they have to shuffle the deck a little bit to try to get some talent spread. But the weird one, people who might watch Banana Ball know, is the funny issue and the difference between the Globe. One big difference with the Globetrotters and Bananas is the Bananas lose, bud. Like, and because the Bananas' primary focus has been the entertainment, and it's a lot of the guys who are homegrown, like from the college summer ball era of Savannah, and guys who are just like Stilts is like, sorry, not a good ball player, but like he can get up there and do his thing and throw a couple strikes, and there we go. The party animals have Jake Skull. They got Reese Hampton. They're ballers on the party animals, and party animals quite a bit kick the piss out of the Bananas. And there were some times where it was like, they're going to need to figure this out a little bit, like, because this is not an even talent distribution. And I'll say all that to say, there is going to need to be a very particular balance, because while the entertainment is fun, you do want something competitive on the field. And like the crowd is engaged typically what's going on the field. Like I know it snuck up on us as the 9th inning and all that, but like for the most part, when there's like, you know, the game I saw in Philly was really competitive back and forth. It was like, I think nearly a walk-off win for the Bananas, but the party animals salvaged it. But like if these are all blowouts, like if they get a little too weighted one way or the other, or one team's less entertaining or one team's less talented, this could get a little weird, a little fast, and people might be like, yeah, I don't need to see it again. It was cool, but like, I don't need to see it again. And I think that's something that could be a crack there. But for the most part, again, I do think it's replicable for the next few years, and we'll see where they end up at. And I'm sorry for all the banana ball talk for people driven insane by it, but I do think it's all very relevant to Indy Ball's challenges and our path forward.
So I guess I'll wrap up the banana ball conversation just by running through some of the guys that were drafted in tonight's draft, which I'm sure there's some people that didn't realize that they're doing a draft. They did a draft for assigning players across all the teams, being that now there's 2 new teams in the Loco Beach Coconuts and the Indianapolis Clowns. So they did a draft. The fans got to predict 3 players on each of the 4 existing teams, and then I think it was there 5 or 6 that the teams themselves got to protect, and everybody else went to the draft. Essentially, think of a keeper league in fantasy. That's really the best way of doing it. Which honestly, well said. Which is kind of an interesting way, I think, leagues go about doing their roster. It's like, this is one of those ideas that like it costs you guys nothing, and you could absolutely steal that, and like most of you guys sign contracts with the league anyway, so it's easy to do.
So I suggested it. I brought it up. I didn't suggest it. I brought it up in my time with the Atlantic League. The thing is, if you were like, yeah, you're not guaranteed your spot, and you're like going into a draft, there's a lot of guys aren't going to come to your league. The reason it works for banana ball is because they're all based out of the same spot.
That's a fair point.
I know, but I like the idea. I'm in.
Yeah, there's a way you could tweak it, but in any event. So I'm going to go through them in the order of which they were drafted. I'm just going to tell you the player name, round, and pick number in the round, and the team that drafted them. Jackie Bradley Jr., first round, first overall, Indianapolis Clowns. He wasn't even in the player pool until about a day and a half beforehand. That's when coaches were told he's a thing. That's a real tough scene, but whatever. Austin Drury, first round, fourth overall, Bananas. Eric Jones Jr., first round, fifth overall, Firefighters. Correll Prime, first round, sixth overall, Clowns. Bobby Leday.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, I always think it's Lada, but
yeah, I said that for a while. I got corrected.
Yeah. So Bobby Leday, second round, second overall, Clowns. Jordan Barth, second round, third overall, Tailgaters. Max Young Goldberg, second round, fourth overall, Bananas. David Griffin, second round, seventh overall, Clowns. Reese Miller, third round, third overall, Tailgaters. Nico Holsizer, fourth round, second overall, Clowns. Kyle Martin, fourth round, third overall, Tailgaters. Lamar Sparks, fourth round, fifth overall, Firefighters. Joe Gray, fourth round, seventh overall, Clowns. Eric Ostberg, fourth round, eighth overall, Coconuts. Andrew Irvine, who I didn't realize was a Nebo guy, and then I had to look him up. I was like, oh, no, he pitched a couple innings, so he counts.
Yep, count it.
Even one inning makes you count. Fifth round, first overall, Clowns. Britt Sanchez, fifth round, third overall, Tailgaters. Nate Tellier, fifth round, sixth overall, Party Animals. And Joe Littell, fifth round, eighth overall, Clowns. Admittedly, some of those guys in there have been in Banana Ball for a minute now. Jones, Prime, and Little there being the 3 that are most notable, probably. They were Indie Ball guys at one point, most of them within the last 2 or 3 years, so I'm counting them all the same.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a problem. And it's where we're going to wind up leaving it because we spent about 40 minutes talking about it.
My bad.
All we got to talk about now is a rebrand, a new owner, and some coaching carousel updates, so we should be able to run through this fairly quick. Jackal's ownership is now well and settled. I'm going to assume it's Baye, if I pronounce that. Baye Adolfo Wilson. He was the co-developer on the Hinchcliffe renovation, also owns the Cosmos. He purchased the team from El Dorso. These are all things that we already knew. I think we're both in lockstep where it's like new coat of paint on the same car.
Yeah.
Right. This is not fixing the underlying problem, which is the team's been mismanaged. It's not in a good market, and the facility is not up to par. Hopefully, they can at least get a liquor license, but because the things in a state park, I don't think they really can.
Mm-hmm.
I do know there are state parks that do have bars in them, but
the fun ones.
So I don't know if that's like hang up there, if they just haven't got a liquor license from Patterson yet, which I have a hard time believing they wouldn't just issue them a new one for whatever the fee is, as opposed to making them buy it from somebody else that already exists. But hey, what do I know? Maybe it's got to go through the state because of where the thing's located. Who's to really say? Regardless, it just makes everything more complicated and does not at all address the major concern of it's a high school venue that's hosting a pro team.
And nobody goes.
Exactly. So maybe now that you got a guy that is more heavily invested in the area, presumably knows the area better, knows how to market to this area, and can just kind of go clean sweep, get people in the ballpark, that'll help. That feels optimistic, though. Yeah, I'm still deeply concerned about the future of this team. And I will say, you could say what you want about the Dorso tenure of that team, right? And there was things they did wrong, certainly, but their other team's doing fine. And the other team, they made generally good hires with. So I can't chalk it all up to ownership.
Mm-hmm.
So there's other underlying issues there. So a clean start was definitely needed. That much is for certain. But I am still concerned about their overall future. What a happy week this has been.
I know. I feel really bad. We need to do a positive episode. Sorry.
You got thoughts on the Jackals?
Nah. I mean, they're going to need to show me more than a new owner for me to believe in that organization.
Which is fair. Is there anything immediately? I mean, we just came up with a whole conversation about do more of the fan engagement like the Bananas do, try to do things that keep, it as baseball, but more appealing. Is there anything like that you see could be applicable here in Patterson? Or,
I mean, you figure there's, not to generalize Patterson, but some economic struggle. I mean, maybe you have to focus on, I think, your games as a value proposition, affordable food, a good time. If it's free tickets, if it's discount food nights, like whatever, but to get people in and then show them a good time and focus on, real fan focused, entertainment and engagement and, talking to those fans and what else would they like and, what else will bring them back and making them feel valued and like you want to see them back. Like, I think that's the starting spot and then kind of growing from there. That's not really any hard hitting answer. It's just sort of the where I would start with that because there's so much.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to do in Patterson, so hopefully they get busy doing it.
Right.
Going to Windy City. Last piece of news before we get to the carousel. Thunderbolts did a brand refresh. Skyline logo's gone. They replaced it with kind of a jagged B that also forms a T in there. Kind of looks like the TV12 logo, in my opinion. But yeah, it's interesting. Very simplistic, minimalist design, certainly. They also got some new uniforms in there. The black one's kind of cool. It's a black pinstripe, but it's lightning bolts instead of the actual pinstripe, which is kind of nice. They have a light blue one with black sleeves and black script of Windy City across the front. And then what's basically a tan jumpsuit is their third, which I'm not a huge fan of. I would like to see like a classic white in there somewhere or gray for road as opposed to doing color for the road. But hey, a little bit different, a little bit standoffish. Definitely think they needed a brand refresh, been a minute.
Yeah. I think it's good generally. I think they did need, I think Windy City Thunderbolts is one of the weakest brands out there. So I think sort of clarifying it, shortening it up. I think that's a good move. I like the Windy City brand itself is fun and different. I think that's, a good vibe. It almost feels like a year-round City Connect type of thing. which is kind of
Yeah.
in a good way, not a bad way, because you could mean that frenzy is derogatory. But yeah, there was something lacking with that. And the color scheme always seemed a little bit off and sort of regressive. I think this is definitely a step forward. I don't love the random tan thing going on. That's not really, I don't think that's it, but I like the Windy City. I like the black. And I like leaning more toward the bolts than the Thunderbolts. The Thunderbolts are just such a, I have two pet peeves. One is like an unnecessarily long name just for the sake of a long name, and a long name where it's two words that are one word for no damn reason. It's just weird. The Thunder, no space, capital B, bolts is mind-breakingly dumb. I'm sorry. It's just not good. And it's a weird brand, but I think lean toward the bolts is a real move. And I wonder if in the near future they fully drop Thunder out of it and do a Barnstormers thing. You know,
They could. I would hate it less than I would Barnstormer thing, but I think you just keep the name. So, any other real thoughts on that, or are we good to go to the carousel?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, let's go to the carousel then, because we do have a decent amount of action on this. We'll get the less flashy one out of the way. Sean Repay, he's back in Great Falls.
Yep.
This is news because the Pioneer League tends to go through managers rather quickly. It's going to turn them and burn them like matches. But regardless, he's back. Interested to see here. Young guy, young team. Let's see what he can do. Now, not thought on it, or?
I was just going to say, I mean, the popular opinion was that he wasn't going to come back. So good for him. Good for Sean keeping a game.
Keep it going. Next bit. Mark Minikazi, he's done with Staten Island.
Mm-hmm. There's two interesting things there. Let's just logic this out. Mark has had mixed results with Staten Island, but has generally taken what has been a chronically struggling organization and gotten it moving on the upward trajectory. Nearly made a playoff run 2 years ago. Last year, they were pretty close and were hanging around and were a nuisance, but second half Stormers is a headache. The Ducks got hot. York's great. So tough one, but they're moving the right way for the first time.
Yeah. Confidently raised the floor.
A late announcement of a manager not coming back tends to indicate a couple things, which is either news to the team or the team already has somebody they wanted to say he's out and boop, new guy, here he is. There does not seem to be a new guy based on the fact that I know that's an open position that people are going for. There's some interesting names kicked around, and I'll give a conspiracy theory real quick, but my first and foremost conspiracy theory is it would seem like in this instance, Mark left because if the team would have posted this goodbye way sooner so they could get on the hunt for a new manager, if it was them saying we're good. Plus they seemed to like him. It was going fairly well. So the question is, where's Mark going? There's only a few open spots. We can think about what it is. Safe to assume it's the Atlantic League. Pretty safe to assume because it's safe to assume the Atlantic League because he's bounced around the Atlantic League, for years now with multiple teams. It doesn't seem like he would take a job in another league. He's an East Coast guy. The only job that seems open is Hagerstown. So there you go. That would be the popular opinion there. The conspiracy then becomes who could be Staten Island. And you start looking at who is looking for a job. And what I note is there is somebody who is never on social media. And this is just conspiracy theory. I have nothing this is a Ryan based thing.
Is this the same name that I've thrown out in the past that makes sense going there?
He's never on social media. However, he just so happened, he was on social media in September and posted something of last year. He was in August of this year to promote an autograph signing. And all of a sudden, he's on Twitter and replying to things and looking at news stories on the day that this announcement is made. And that would be Wally Backman. Unless I missed the memo and it was actually respond with your hot take political day. Wally just happened to check in on Twitter. And, the same day an announcement was made about an opening in Staten Island. Something to think about. I don't know how I feel about that. I've heard a lot of mixed things about Wally. It sounds like Long Island, the last days in Long Island were a mess.
He did get arrested when he was their manager.
I mean, who hasn't? On one hand, an experienced manager is a good move for Staten Island, and someone who knows the enemy and probably doesn't love the enemy over on Long Island is an interesting concept.
And a guy that can help bring in Met fans, which have largely been like, nah, that's still a Yankee thing.
Yeah. On the other end, they seem to have been comfortable getting away from the New York-based person with Mark, and they seem to enjoy him and find success. Additionally, a few teams are as close to Long Island and have probably learned about Long Island and witnessed the Wally Backman experience, quite like Staten Island.
Well, I think Wally was Wally gone by the time Staten Island came in?
No, he's only been gone for 2 seasons.
It feels like it's been longer than that.
Yeah. Well, because it throws you, because Lou Ford feels like he's been there forever, but he wasn't the manager.
See, I just always think there's a guy between Wally and Lou.
The man inside me. That's by Shunke. I don't know. But I know there's not a lot out there right now, because we're real late in the cycle. There's Billy Horn, who is not locked in anywhere. Well, we have openly said we think he's going to Cleburne. However, not 1, not 2, but 3 people have come by to say, by the way, Pete might be back. So watch out for that in Cleburne.
Which they are signing guys, so that would be a sign that Pete's back if they haven't announced the thing and they got guys signing.
And someone has also pointed out that they are signing in the typical MO that Pete has with who they're grabbing. So interesting. Beyond all this, we got a sort of a crop of randoms at that point, but like I'd figure Chad Rhodes technically would be an option, though I don't know where Chad's head's at. And no one does. Chad might not. Chad's his own animal. Billy Horton also, 2 years ago won a championship with Team 12 and not Tom Brady Team 12, in the Pioneer League with everything stacked against them. So if you want to talk about somebody who can work on a budget, who can assemble a roster with limited time, because we're late now in the coaching hiring cycle, that's a look. So,
but do we know about Passarella's status?
That's an interesting one.
Because I kind of assumed that he was done in Chicago, as like most people have been one and done.
It sounds that Chicago already has a manager lined up. I'm not sure who it is, but conjecture is it's somebody who's close to the organization, if not internal. Mainly because I talk to a lot of the people on the outside, and they're all like, I don't know, not one of us. Surprisingly, I don't have a lot of sources inside the Chicago Dogs organization right now. Shocking. Ain't it? Though I will point out that Passarelli is a New York guy.
Does make sense. Had a great season for a first-time manager. I mean, for anybody made postseason. So
again, in difficult circumstances.
It's interesting. That should be one of the better jobs in Indy ball when you get down to it. But
it should be. But they seem to have the weird situation of very rich ownership that won't spend.
I'm in Chicago.
Oh, Chicago. Yeah. I mean, they absolutely should be far more successful and desirable than they are, but alas.
So what do you think the soundproofing on that wall is?
Yeah.
R19, huh?
Staten Island should be an interesting job. Chicago should be an interesting job, and yet here we are.
Really should be. That should be like one of those golden star jobs where it's just like ownership that knows the sports industry in a fairly easy to recruit to city with an airport right there and generally good teams with great facilities. It should be. It's just like, no, that work environment.
I will point to, so what openings do we have left? So we've got Staten Island. We seem to have Hagerstown. We have Cleburne, question mark.
Yep, we have the
City.
two. I was going to say we have the one over in the Frontier League we're going to get to talk about, which is now Windy City.
Mm-hmm. We have Chicago, and then the Pioneer League has various and sundry potential openings.
Also New Jersey.
I mean, officially.
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, we discussed last week that
it's going to be Bobby, but back.
Yeah.
It really is retread season. Retread 2026. We're like Hollywood, we ran out of ideas.
Well, I think a lot of the retread organizations are organizations who are a little lost in one way or another. And the last thing they want to be dealing with is unknown quantities on the baseball situation. Because I've spoken to it before. It's really hard when you're focused on growing your brand and selling tickets and doing your marketing and handling the day-to-day operations of a team. The last thing you want is getting a call from the manager that there's a fire to put out in the baseball operations side. What can handle that is hiring a baseball operations person full time, but that's up to you guys.
But say a fire to put out in a team housing unit.
Oh, also that. Good luck, Bobby. It's going to be. So I think that's a lot. I think it's going back to a known quantity is comforting to some of these teams that are feeling a little risk averse one way or another. I would also, when it comes to Windy City, the name that has popped up a couple times with that one is David Peterson, who was the assistant with Ottawa last year. So keep an eye on that one.
What?
We should really start tracking the rumor. I would love to have a graphic for it of like the rumored matches for these jobs and how often it is that person and how early we're on it and like how often it switches. And like, is it a switch because we have bad information or is it a switch because something happened? And because I'm not prepared to say on pod yet. Don't worry, guys. I'll fill you in when I have a chance. But I have a feeling one of the jobs we discussed today was a major change behind the scenes that led to a sudden change in fortune for everybody involved.
Yeah.
And it was just like a very specifically indie ball type of thing, not just like negotiations fell apart. It was just indie balls and indie ball.
We do have to talk about the Windy City move here, so we'll get to that real quick. Toby Hall goes from Windy City to Florence, so he'll take over in Kentucky. Thoughts on that move?
I'm interested to see. I don't like Chad leaving. That sucks. I went over it last week. Won't do it again. Toby inherited a really difficult situation last year, obviously, and it didn't get easier. Not only with there's an ownership transition happening, but obviously everything going on, with Bobby and his sickness and passing, and it didn't seem to be what he signed up for. All things considered, the team was bad, but it didn't scream it was bad because of Toby. And in fact, it was mostly not embarrassing. Nothing really was like, this is a garbage fire. This has to stop. I think there was some buy-in sort of for Bobby to a certain extent, but I think Toby took a really difficult situation and made something of it. And I think if nothing else, he deserves a second chance in Florence, which is a very interesting and supportive front office who's engaged and I think has some opportunity to do something pretty interesting. Yeah, I like it. I like that for him and for Florence, honestly. They need to get some damn wins. Sorry about two orgs that need some damn wins.
I was going to say, I honestly thought Toby did a pretty good job given the circumstances he had and what he walked into and what he had to kind of do. I mean, it's my understanding that he was managing a long time before he was officially named the interim manager, and that it was kind of working parallel without stepping on toes. But that just makes it really an awkward situation. And then
really difficult.
Even formally getting named it, the circumstances around it make it tough and everything. And obviously he was close to Bobby at that point too. So it just became a really difficult season every which way with that there. And he got, like, Windy City did not have a good year, but I don't think we at any point thought they were going to have a good year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, especially once it got going, it's like, oh, we're not even going to talk about this because it's very clear how this is ending. But I do want to see how it works out with Florence because they had moments last year where we're like, oh, this is better than expected. And then it kind of went off the rails, but better than expected here. So I'm curious to see what he can do coming in there and see if he can rehab this a little bit.
And off the top of your head, don't look, don't cheat. Who was the last team that Toby played for?
I'm going to say Cincinnati Reds.
No, not MLB.
Oh.
This last pro team.
Won't be the Florence Freedom.
Nah, bro. He played for the Camden River Sharks.
Really?
Carrying on a proud legacy. And honestly, I love that.
Campbell Field is one of the coolest fields in baseball.
It really is. I just saw somebody there too, like taking a tour, like of what is still there, which is not much, but still pretty cool.
Man, in its heyday, that was a cool ballpark.
You can still get a flavor of it if you go to, what the hell is it now? Subaru Park? No, it's not Subaru Park anymore. It's something. It might be Subaru Park. The Philadelphia Union Stadium has the same sort of flavor, which is tucked under the bridge. Different bridge, but it's still, you're like, damn, this is super weird. But it's funny. Yeah. Like occasionally in a game, they'll do the sideline angle in a Philadelphia Union game. And you're like, oh, that's the roof up there. And you're like, oh no, that's the bridge. That is right there. And it does give you a little bit of what it was like driving by, that stadium and looking down on it, as you drove by, which is really funny.
Yeah. The whole era of stadiums is so great.
Dude, they'll throw them anywhere.
I encourage everybody, once you're done listening, pull up pictures of Campbell Field.
Yeah. She was a beaut. She was a beaut in her day.
Ben Franklin Bridge behind, especially if you can get a picture showing the outside of the ballpark going in. Really cool.
Yeah, man. It was sick. That night, bridge lit up.
Oh,
yeah. They did that one. They did that one right. That was fun. They didn't, and maybe for better or worse, they did not make it some sort of weird real estate endeavor.
Riverfront Stadium in Newark was also another good one.
Yeah, that one I didn't have any experience with, but I've heard tell of it.
Yeah, it was a interesting place at times, but it still was very much a cool ballpark. And if I recall correctly, and this may be just like one of those Bernstein Bear type memories, but the parking garage out and right, I believe, had the distance to hit it on the building.
Oh, I think it did.
Yeah, which I always thought was cool. Also, you had the light rail, the light rail that ran to the stadium too, and still does run there to this day.
Womp womp.
Yeah, it runs that empty patch of land there, and yeah, always cared for that. The only part that I remember I did not like about the stadium was the fact it wasn't a full wraparound concourse.
Yeah, that always drives me nuts. Speaking as somebody whose local park is not a wraparound concourse, it's frustrating. Yeah. The parking garage beyond the right field fence at a 405 marker. Yep, not wrong.
Yeah, I think that just about does it for us for the week, though. Good discussion this week. Not the most positive week, but it was a good discussion week. So.
I owe and I've been saying this for weeks. I owe a positive week, and part of it is I do think we're struggling out here, boys. But I maybe got it, and I might have an optimistic one. We'll see. I got a couple topics in mind for potentially next week, depending on what you bring to the table. I might have to just force one of my conversation topics in there so I can be positive about something.
Can't force it on me.
Listen, I wasn't in those files.
We don't know that yet. We haven't seen them all. All right, Mr. Financier, you want to do your plugs?
Yeah, Indy Ball Nation on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I'll probably put something out this week, I say, for the 75th week in a row. Yeah. Indy Ball Nation. There you go.
All right, very good. Indy Ball Pod on Twitter, Indy Ball Report everywhere else. Gonna have some videos rolling out soon, hopefully, and yeah, keep an eye out for everything. So, yeah.
I love us not making promises.
Oh no. I try every time, and then either something prevents me from doing it, or I start to think about, yeah, I should do that, and I start getting the concept in my head, and I start to materialize it, and then I'm just like, I am not motivated to do this. I'm not just gonna half-ass something and throw it out there for the sake of having it out there.
I get that, man.
Which algorithmically is a bad idea. You're better off just throwing crap.
Fire it. Yep, just fire away. Yeah, I know.
Because the duds or whatever, but if you just get one to catch, then you're good. But just intrinsically, I feel bad throwing out content that I know is not good. And that it's not as much the stuff that isn't good that gets me. It's the stuff that I know could be better. But now I've spent the idea on doing it shitty wise.
I'm the dangerous combo of I'm a perfectionist when it comes to things just coming out correctly. So I'll fine tune forever or not. Like I wrote papers at college. I just never turned in because I didn't like them. And that was not, that was ill advised, but I'm not recommending it, but for background on my personality. And also I've had enough people say to me, like, it's okay. Like, I don't mind that you don't post regularly because you post like quality, crazy, weird, in-depth stuff, depending on what it is. And that was enough of a pat on the back for me to be like, well, this is just going to be what's going to be. Let's see. So yeah, that's an ongoing project, but we'll see where we land. Hoping to actually get some damn content, but we'll see where it goes. Working on stuff as always. Plus I'm busy. I got a job, dude. I don't know.
I was going to say, don't we all, but there's...
Well, didn't for most of the year. In which case, looking for a job was the job.
Unemployment is the worst job to have.
It's difficult. It's all the work with none of the benefits.
Yeah. Well, on that positive, cheery note.
We end depressing the way we have been the whole time. Amazing. Go team.
Oh, what a sad banana we are. Until next time, don't forget to play ball.
Really rotten banana was there too, but it's fine.